Well, welcome everybody to SEPA here in Pell City. I want to welcome y'all to the 2020 Pell City Debate, sponsored and organized by the Rotary Club of Pell City. We are a nonpartisan service organization that works in the greater Pell City community. This club does not endorse any of the candidates. With the local elections only a week from now, we had reached out to a number of organizations to see if they would have been interested in hosting this. I guess we did such a good job 4 years ago. Everyone felt like the Rotarians were a good group that were neutral and also followed in line with our commitment to service in the community. We really want to make sure that we're providing a service so that the folks in Pell City have a better understanding of who the candidates are, what their platforms are, and their views on issues. We want to thank everybody who came here today and also those that are online. I think people are getting more and more used to viewing these things at their pleasure. So we really do thank the community online that's viewing this as well. If you'd like to learn how to be a Rotarian, feel free to check us out on Facebook. We really like to focus on bringing service to the community and to help the different charities and also do things like the Daddy-Daughter Dance. We also have a golf tournament that's upcoming that the proceeds from that we put back into the community to the food pantries and other charitable organizations. Before I introduce the moderator and the timekeeper, I just want to give a special thanks to some of our volunteers, Meg Clements, Blair Goodgame, Kelly Ferguson, and Karen Wilbanks. We also want to thank Jeff Thompson and Shelby Maddox with SEPA. You've done a fantastic job accommodating us on this short notice. One other thing I would like to mention, I just want to thank the candidates for having the courage and the dedication to the community, and also those incumbents who have been in their position already. Many times it's a thankless position, and ultimately what we look for in elected officials or one of the mottos that Rotary have, and that is service above self. And I believe as long as the candidates have that mindset, everything else falls into place. So at this point, my name is Don Smith. I'm the president of the Pell City Rotary Club. And the moderator is going to be Attorney James Hill. Mr. Hill is a partner with Hill, Gossett, Kemp, and Hufford, PC and Moody. He practices in the area of government, commercial, and business corporate law, and general litigation. He currently represents public entities, including St. Clair County Commission and the municipalities of Moody, Springville, Asheville, Raglan. So please welcome James Hill. Please, there you go. At home? All right, good. And also our timekeeper right here, which you may not even know he's going to be there as long as he does his job right, is Lyle Harmon. Lyle Harmon currently serves as the St. Clair County District Attorney and is a member of the Pell City Rotary Club of Board of Directors. Mr. Harmon serves as a U.S. Army helicopter pilot for the 101st Airborne Division, 2nd Squadron, 17th Cavalry during the Operation Iraqi Freedom, and he continues to serve in the Alabama National Guard. An incredible gentleman. Please welcome Lyle Harmon. And before we have our first folks come up, a little bit of housekeeping. I got an email from the city manager, Brian Munger, and he would like for me to say a little something about absentee ballots. Please note that August 20th is the final day for a voter to apply for a regular absentee ballot, and all absentee ballots returned by mail must be postmarked by August 24th and received by noon on the day of the election. A voter may also hand deliver an absentee ballot by 5 o'clock p.m. August 24th. If you need an absentee ballot, you can go directly to City Hall. So with that being said, I would like to welcome to the stage our first candidates of the evening. We have City Council District 2 candidates, incumbent James McGowan and challenger Ivy McDaniels. Please give them a round of applause.
Don, and welcome to our candidates. Before we begin, I do want to echo Don's comments and articulate thanks both to the Pell City Rotary Club as well as the SEPA Center for putting on this outstanding event that I feel certain will be educational and informative for all of our persons at home as well as our candidates. To begin, I'm going to provide the rules for tonight's event. They are as follows. Candidates, please refer to each other as opponent. Please refrain from using any profanity and personal attacks, as the same will not be tolerated. Please end your comments immediately when time expires. Candidates will each have 1 minute for opening statements, beginning with the incumbent. Candidates will be asked 5 questions only. The first response will rotate with each question. Questions will be selected randomly. Neither the participants nor I have seen the questions beforehand. Candidates will receive a 15-second warning nearing the conclusion of your time to respond. Candidates will each have 1 minute for closing statements, beginning with the incumbent. With that, if y'all are ready, we can begin.
Good afternoon. My name is James McGowan. I'm happy to be here tonight, and I'm happy to see the number of people that we have here. That shows me that you're concerned about your government. Happy to have you here. Okay.
Mr. McGowan. Ms. McDaniel, your opening comment.
Good afternoon. My name is Ivy McDaniel, and I am a citizen of Pell City. I graduated from Pell City High School and went on to get my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I have 3 children who are currently in this school system. So this city and this system means a lot to me. I was born and raised here, and I want to continue to see our city grow and be productive, and I'm just so glad to be standing here today.
Ms. McDaniel. And again, these are the candidates for City Council District 2. Your first question, which will be to the incumbent first, is what is the central platform of your campaign, and how would its application result in Pell City's prosperity?
My platform is to make sure that I serve all the citizens in our city. I love Pell City, and the only thing that I would add to that is that I plan to continue to do the work that I have always done my entire terms in office. And I love Pell City, and to just let you know how I feel about my job, I have never missed a council meeting. And that should tell you how I feel about my job. I take it very seriously. Okay.
Mr. McGowan. Ms. McDaniel.
Platform is a transitional platform. I look forward to working with the City Council to bridge the gap between our community. I'm working on city fairness so that everybody in our community, our districts, are able to benefit from all the things that go on in our city. Also being personable, being available, and being accessible to our city and our citizens to make sure that I do what is in the best interest of all of us together, and also to be solution focused, that when we have a problem that we come together as a community, as a city, and come up with the best solution that's going to benefit all of us as a whole.
Ms. McDaniel. The second question, and we will begin with Ms. McDaniel with this question. What are your goals for economic growth and development within our community?
Goals for economic growth within our community is first to look at the businesses that are already here and to look at our citizens. There's a lot of opportunities in our community for the citizens to be involved. I look at training and trades to be I work with a community of people that I'm always out trying to find jobs and helping them to be able to take care of themselves. And there's so many opportunities out there within the manufacturing industry that we have now and other businesses that our citizens can get involved and be able to obtain the employment they need, but also the training and trade that they would need that will continue to help our businesses grow, but also help our citizens to be economically sound as well.
Thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Our third question, beginning with Mr. McGowan. In 2019, the state passed the Rebuild Alabama Act, which introduced a gas tax designed to improve the state's infrastructure. The city will receive funds over the next 2 years to improve its roads and bridges. How would you prioritize the use of these funds?
I would use those funds that the state have put forth, are going to put forth, and make sure that we keep our roads in adequate traveling conditions. We have most of our roads right now that's in fairly good condition, but with this money that we would get from the state, from the gas tax, I think we can do a better job with our roads. I think all of our roads are up to standards, and we can take that money and add to rebuilding the roads that we have that need a good foundation, that doesn't have a good foundation.
Mr. McGowan. Ms. McDaniel.
I want to say that I would take those funds and continue on what is already taking place, but also make sure that we're proactive and that we're continuing to pay attention to our roads and getting out there and fixing them when it's necessary, and making sure that the roads in the whole city is taken care of.
Our fourth question will begin with Ms. McDaniel, and that is, how do you plan to involve the residents in the decision-making process of the city beyond the election?
Love that question. I think that being accessible to them, you know, in the avenues that they reach out to us, they will reach out to us by phone call, by email, and making sure that we're staying open and listening to them, inviting them and to come to the city council meetings, to be a part of what's going on, and also continuing to stay. One of my favorite things about this campaign is being out there with the citizens, talking to them, seeing what their needs are, and to continue that, making sure that I'm accessible, because that's a part of my platform, and making sure that their voices are heard by being there, being reachable, and staying connected through great communication.
Gowan, how do you plan to involve the residents in the decision-making process of the city beyond the election?
My plans are to ask the other council members to select a committee in each district and have a spokesperson that would be would chair that committee, and allow them, when needs are needed in the community that we don't see, they can have a person that can be the spokesperson for each district, and they can come to the meeting and let us know what the needs are. And another thing is the fact that when we do this, we want to invite all of the citizens to all of our meetings. We very seldom have anybody show up at our meetings, and I think when you come and sit in front of the council members that you elect, you can hold them accountable. If you come to the meeting and sit in front of them, you can see how they vote, what they're voting on, and show them that you're concerned. That's my goal, is to make sure that the citizens get behind the people that they have elected, and sit in front of them when they have meetings and see how they're going about doing things for the community, and make sure they're not sitting on their hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGowan. It's been brought to my attention I failed to allow you to respond to the second question. That was my inadvertence. At this time, I would like for you to have the opportunity to respond to the second question that was asked. What are your goals for economic growth and development within our community, Mr. McGowan?
My goals for economic development is to continue what we have already started. I think, too, one of the things that we're lacking is high-tech positions that we can bring to our city. When our kids finish high school, go on to college, they can stay right here at home and be able to draw a good salary without moving away. I think that Pell City is in line to do those type things. My next 4 years, that's going to be what I will push for if I'm reelected. Thank you.
Final question, beginning with you, Mr. McGowan, are, what are your views on the historic downtown area, and what would you do to improve this area?
I thought about that a lot over the years. What I want to do is meet with the business owners of downtown and be able to bring all of the buildings to some type of uniform. And I think we can do this with talking to our grant writer and make sure that we can get grants to help these business people out on some of the things that we want to do downtown. I want to make sure we redo all of the flower beds and also make sure we hire a gardener to take care of those flower beds. I think all of our downtown need to be looked at in a little bit better manner than it's being looked at.
Mr. McGowan. Ms. McDaniel.
I think that our downtown is beautiful. It has character and it has personality. Does there need to be some revitalization? Yes, it absolutely does. And the way that we do that is get the business owners that are there because they have a lot of interest, because they want to bring in business, and also our community because we shop there, we walk downtown and see what we all can come up with, being creative and innovative for our downtown without losing its character and personality.
Ms. McDaniel. Now for our closing remarks, Mr. McGowan.
I would just like to say to the citizens of our great city, which I love, that my next 4 years will be a term that I will probably look at some things that we have been trying to get to happen in Pell City, and I think we're on the right road to make that happen. And I can tell you, standing here tonight, I take my job very serious. I'm progressive on anything that I do. I don't sit back and take a seat and don't say anything. I think it's a time when you speak up and let the citizens know that we sent you there. We want you to do the job we sent you there for. I plan to continue to do that. I've always done that, and I will continue to do that.
Thank you, Mr. McGowan. Ms. McDaniel.
I just want to commend the current city council for the job that they have already done here in our city. And we, as a citizen, I want to say that we appreciate the work. And I want to be a part of that work. I want to continue what our city has already started, showing. I want my kids to want to always be in Pell City. They go off to college and come back. It's not a city that they want to run away from, but a city that they want to run back to and be a part of the growth of it. And so with me being in office, that's what I seek, to continue to make this city great, because I came back, and I came back because I love the place that I grew up in, and I want my children to be able to do that.
Ms. McDaniel. Thank you, Mr. McGowan and Ms. McDaniel, for your time this evening. Next, let me welcome our candidates for City Council, District 4, Jason Mitchum, Maurice Keller. We can begin with opening comments. Mr. Mitchum.
Good evening, everyone. What a difference 4 years makes. 4 years ago, I looked at this audience and said, wow, I've got a lot of mamas out there that helped raise me in this town. And tonight, my mother isn't here because she's not feeling well. But if you don't know me, my name is Jason Mitchum. I'm a lifelong Pell Cityan. Not only have I lived in Pell City my whole life, I've also lived in District 4 my whole life. I have 3 children, 1 at Troy University and 2 within our school system. I'm the liaison for the council to the Pell City Parks and Rec, and also the president and co-founder of Equip to Play, a 501c3 that takes equipment, used equipment, and gives it out to the children that can't afford equipment. Thank y'all for being here tonight, and look forward to the debate.
Mr. Mitchum. Mr. Keller.
First of all, I would like to thank the Rotary Club for giving us this opportunity to bring forth our platform tonight, and I thank God for the citizens of Pell City who have come here tonight, and also those who are listening via video. My name is Maurice Keller. I am a citizen of Pell City. I have been since 2001. I am a current wife is a lifelong native of Pell City. We have 4 wonderful children, and we're looking forward to serving the people of Pell City.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. Our first question is for you, Mr. Mitchum, and it is, why are you running for council? What experience do you have that would make you a qualified council person?
10 years ago, and I did say 10 because it took me 6 years to talk my wife into letting me run. But 4 years ago when I was here, I stood on a couple of ideals and principles that I wanted to look at. One was the city's debt. In the last 4 years, not only have we taken on no new debt, but just last week we refinanced the city's debt to save approximately $295,000 a year, and it did not extend the term of the loan at all. The experience I have is the last 4 years. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with the city and council, the mayor, our Board of Education, the Economic Development Council. I get out and I talk with my constituents. They call me all the time. I never hesitate to answer the phone.
Seconds.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Keller.
I'm running because I love to serve. I've been serving the community since 1998 when I first came to pastor in the area. I have been a driver license examiner for the state of Alabama, and there was a time where I served here in the Pell City office. I served for 2 years and then went on to become a probation officer where I continue to serve. It is my calling to serve, and I look forward to serving the people here in Pell City.
Our second question, we will begin with Mr. Keller. It's the same question as last time. Let's get a different one. Mr. Keller, is maintaining a population of young professionals important to Pell City's future? If so, how would you keep and attract young professionals to Pell City instead of seeing them settle in other communities?
Yes, it's very important to have young professionals in the city because we must not only think of today, present, but we must also think of tomorrow's future, and they are our future. We must keep and attract young professionals instead of seeing them settle in other communities so we can continue to build here, to enhance here, and things that we can do is to continue to implement programs, especially geared toward the young people. Look at also investing more into our school systems. Young professionals want to know that the schools are a good quality, and so we have a good school system here in Pell City, so that's one of the ways that I would continue to invest into the school system and continue to attract the young professionals to us.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mitchum?
Absolutely it is. And the City Council, along with the Pell City school system and several companies in town, have partnered together for training programs as these young people come out of high school and graduate high school. I think things that attract that young professional are possibly the subdivisions that we build, that we develop, that they have easy access to, be it parks or walking tracks, places to ride bikes, the things that attract those people to live in this community. So yes, I believe that the young professional population is very important to the city, and by doing some of those things and continuing our work with the school system and partnering with our professional companies around Pell City, we can draw them in and maintain that relationship.
Sir. Our third question, we will begin with Mr. Mitchum. What are your views on the historic downtown area, and what would you do to improve this area?
I love the downtown area. Always have. When I was a young man, my grandfather and I would walk through downtown to go to his place of business, which was A&P Grocery Store. I'm not really sure what the city, what powers the city has to the buildings, because those buildings are owned by private people. But the streetscapes that we've got going, we have meetings coming up for other grants to continue the streetscape we've already started, which will be the greenery, the lights, possibly cleaning the sidewalks, pressure washing, and just cleaning up downtown and making it a very inviting area to come.
Thank you. Mr. Keller.
My view of the downtown area is to continue to try to revitalize the area. I want to look at continuing to encourage local businesses to come in and invest, to come in and start businesses, and also would like to try to see the city to continue to build in our, well, not exactly bill, but to continue to implement programs that will continue to enhance the downtown area, because Pell City has a rich history, and that downtown area is an important part, and it should be maintained and kept.
Mr. Keller. Our fourth question, we will begin with Mr. Keller. And the question is, partnerships between the City of Pell City and the Pell City school system have resulted in amazing products like the SEPA building. How do you feel about the district's relationship with the city, and what partnership opportunities would you explore together?
It will be my aim to continue to walk hand in hand with the school system in regards to as looking at other ways to continue to improve our students' educational. I would look at trying to find ways to implement more hands-on opportunities for the younger ones that are not going to college, that are not going to other schools, but that could work in carpentry, could work in HVAC, could work in plumbing, they could get certified. And that way we can enhance them to help decrease the poverty level, and also to increase the workforce, to make them attractive for incoming businesses and corporations that are looking at us.
Mr. Mitchum?
One of the other things I spoke of 4 years ago on this very stage was I wanted to improve the relationship between the City Council and our Board of Education and our school systems. I feel suffice it to say that we have done that over the last 4 years, and that the relationship we have with our Board of Education is probably stronger than it's ever been. We talk together and work together on the ideas like Mr. Keller spoke of the training modules that we have for students. We have an incredible nursing program for our high school students to go through prior to graduation, technical welding, automotive manufacturing programs, all these things that the city and the Board of Education, along with the Economic Development Council, have worked together to do these things. So my goal for the next 4 years would be just to continue to build that relationship and strengthen our resolve together.
Mr. Mitchum. Our fifth and final question, we will begin with Mr. Mitchum. How do you plan to involve the residents in the decision-making process of the city beyond the election?
Our council meetings are open to the public, and I believe I heard Mr. McGowan say it. Seldom do we have more than 3 or 4 people come into our meetings, and we have spoken to that ad nauseum with our people. However, if you are elected to this city council, your phone never stops ringing. I promise you it's a nonstop job. I talk with my constituents on a daily basis. I encourage them to get involved. I meet with their homeowners associations. I meet with the small community groups that they have. People want to be involved. They just need to know the avenues with which to do it. And I encourage people all the time to come to our city council meetings, come to our planning commission meetings. Show up and have a voice, be heard.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchum. Mr. Keller.
It would be my plan to involve the residents in the decision-making process of the city beyond the election, via social media, small town halls, taking what probably about quarterly, if those who have not been able to get to the meetings or could not listen to the meetings because of the audio or the video, we can put forth what has been done, those things that have been approved to go forward to the people. And that will be one of my main goals, to make sure everybody knows what's going on.
Thank you. Now we'll hear closing remarks from each of the candidates, beginning with the incumbent.
I consider the fact that I'm standing here tonight very humbling. I'm very proud to be here, because that means that 4 years ago, you had enough faith in me and enough trust in me that you elected me your representative for District 4. I hope that I have not disappointed and let you down. I look forward to 4 more years of serving you, District 4, and all of Pell City. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Keller?
If you elect me as councilman, I will keep transparency at the forefront. I will be open with a listening ear for your concerns, for your ideas, whatever concerns you will concern me. I will be approachable. I will be accessible. So please vote August 25th.
Mr. Keller, thank you, candidates for District 4 City Council. Finally, let me bring to the stage our final group of the municipal candidates. These candidates are running for mayor. The incumbent, Mr. Bill Pruitt, and the challenger, Ms. Jonna Robertson. Mayor Pruitt, if you could begin with your opening comments.
I'm Bill Pruitt. I've been married to my wonderful wife, Stephanie, for 21 years. God has blessed us with two excellent boys, Will and Max. Our family has been active at Cropwell Baptist Church for over 15 years. I'm a partner at the law firm of Pruitt, Tedisco, and Richardson. For the last 4 years, I've had an opportunity to serve as mayor of Pell City. My goal is to make Pell City the best that it can be, to promote Pell City as a wonderful place to raise families, and to prepare Pell City for future growth. Over the last 4 years, we've invested $4 million in repaving almost 31 miles of roads. We've invested $3 million in upgrades to water and sewer. We have invested in remodeling our civic center, our tennis complex, our new welcome signs. We have provided funding of $18.29 million to our school system. And we want to continue the great work that we've started. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Robertson.
Good evening. My name is Jonna Robertson, and I'm running for mayor of Pell City. I'm a lifelong educator of 27 years with the Pell City school system. I retired 3 years ago, and since that time, I've worked for Bang Productions, and I tour with the Southern Mama and Them comedy show. I've been married to Phil Robertson for 19 years. Phil is a former Marine, an Army Reserves major, a retired law enforcement officer, and an attorney with the Robinson Law Firm. We have 2 children, Garrett and JT, and they are both graduates of Pell City High School. Garrett is 25, and he has cerebral palsy and autism. JT graduated with the class of 2020 and has followed his father and grandfather's footsteps and is enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. 30 years ago, I found a home as an educator.
You got 15 seconds.
30 years ago, I found a home as an educator with the Pell City school system, and I fell in love with the community and the people. I'm ready to serve Pell City as mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. Our first question to our mayoral candidates, beginning with Mr. Pruitt. Why are you running for mayor, and what experience do you have that would make you a qualified mayor?
Well, the experience that I have gained over the last 4 years is invaluable. I've learned a lot about city processes, but the thing that originally qualified me to become mayor is I've been a resident of Pell City for a long time. I'm a parent of 2 great boys. I know what I look for in a community where I want to raise my family. I know what I look for in a community where I want them to be able to grow up and start a career and raise their families. And that's been my goal as mayor of Pell City, because the mayor is the face of the city. I want to present our community as somewhere that's warm and welcoming to families, where people can raise their children, put down roots, and want to stay generation after generation. And that is the key to success of any community.
In seconds.
Is making a community where families want to stay, where they want to prosper, where they want to take apart, where they want to improve things, improve their schools, improve their economic stance, and that's what qualifies me as mayor.
Mr. Pruitt. Ms. Robertson, same question.
I'm running for mayor because I retired from the Pell City school system 3 years ago. I felt like I lost a little bit of the connection with the community. I want to get that back. I have been out pacing the streets, talking with people, and I'm a people person. I love talking to people. I want to make a difference. I want to help. When I was a teacher, you know, teachers are not in it for the money. We're in it to help children. I invested 27 years into the future of Pell City, and I want to continue to do that. Thank you.
Ms. Robertson. Our second question, we will begin with you. And it is, do you believe there is an unfair tax burden on city residents? And if so, what is your plan to reduce this burden? Ms. Robertson.
I feel like we need to use Pell City citizens' hard-earned money for the betterment of Pell City. I do feel like there can be a burden with the taxes and the taxation, just like when the taxation of the increase of property taxes came about. People were not happy with that. They don't like spending that money, but sometimes it's needed. Pell City's growing. We have to put forth more money since we're growing at an exponential rate right now. Part of that in turn is for the past 4 years of our mayor and our city council. We will work with the city council and the city manager to make these things happen and to use those tax dollars to the best of our ability.
Ms. Robertson. Mayor Pruitt.
Well, I think anybody that cashes a check and sees how much is taken out and sees how much taxes are added on to their grocery bill, I think everybody would agree that taxes pose a burden. But the way we mitigate that burden is to make sure that our money is used properly and used for the best interest of the city. And that's one of the things that's been such a great privilege of working with our city manager and our city council over the last 4 years, is I have seen the pains that are taken to properly spend that money, to protect that money, to use it wisely for the proper growth of our community. And there's, you know, at this point, there's nothing we can do about the burden itself. We can't go slashing taxes. That's not the way things work. But the way we lessen that burden is to make sure that we use that money properly, as we've done over the last 4 years, be it repaving neglected roads, redoing our civic center, but you've got to use it properly to make it worthwhile.
Mayor Pruitt. Our third question of the mayoral forum, we will begin with you, Mayor Pruitt. And it is this question. In 2019, the state passed the Rebuild Alabama Act, which introduced a gas tax designed to improve the state's infrastructure. The city will receive funds over the next 2 years to improve its roads and bridges. How would you prioritize the use of these funds?
We're going to continue to prioritize it in the same way that we have for the last 4 years. Every year when it comes time to do our budget, we get an engineering survey of all of our roads. We have a professional rank our roads, you know, their condition, which ones need the most attention, which ones, you know, are going to be fine for a little while. And we have worked very hard over the last 4 years. We have, over the last 4 years, we have spent 3 times more money on paving than the prior 4 years before we got here. That was our focus, is bringing everything back into shape. We've spent $4 million and repaved almost 31 miles of public roads. And it's taken this long. We've finally gotten our roads in good shape that we can stay ahead of the curve now. We're going to continue to monitor these roads, have the engineers survey these roads, and make the recommendations as what needs to be done and which ones need the most attention.
Mr. Pruitt. Ms. Robertson.
I'll tell you that Alabama passed the gas tax, and it has been used to improve roads. Yes, we do need to continue to do that. I will work with the city council and the city manager, and I will be proactive in using those funds properly. It is vital for us to get ahead of the curve and to go ahead and be working on these roads. Because, I mean, like I said, Pell City's growing. We have more traffic. So yes, the next 2 years, we do need to improve the roads. We do need to continue to do the work that's already been set forth. Again, I want to work with the city council and with the city manager to make that possible.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson. Our fourth question to our mayoral candidates, beginning with Ms. Robertson. How do you plan to involve the residents in the decision-making process of the city beyond the election?
I have a plan where I would like to meet with each district, rotating once a month. I would like to have the department heads there at the meeting, the fire department head, the police department head, the street crew. I'd like to have them there. I would like to meet with these districts, and I would like to listen to the community and listen to the people in that district, see what the problems are, and then we should be able to just address those problems right then and get it out front. Just go ahead, let's make this work. I want to be transparent. I want to be out there. I want to be listening to the people all the time, starting with day one in office.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. Mayor Pruitt.
We're going to continue doing what we've been doing. For the better part of the last 4 years, prior to every council meeting, I will post on my mayor's Facebook page the upcoming agenda for the work session and the council meeting. Let everybody know what's going on. We encourage folks to be involved. Sometimes we have some interesting agendas and folks show up. Most of the times, agendas are incredibly boring, and we understand why folks don't. But it is the business of the city. But the most important thing, the reason that I do that, is to let folks know that we want them involved, that we're letting them know what's going on. And then it's up to them to decide when they want to be involved, but they know that we're accessible. We return our phone calls. I take messages. I return those as promptly as I can. Fortunately, I don't have to field a lot of them because our city council does a great job of dealing with their constituents. But I'm available anytime to the residents of Pell City. And so we're going to keep doing exactly what we've been doing for 4 years.
Mayor. And our fifth and final question will begin with you, Mr. Pruitt. Across the nation, cities are reevaluating their strategies for policing. How do you feel about the current impact, spending, and organization of the Pell City Police Department?
I think our council, working with our city manager and myself, I think we've done a great job of working with our police department to determine what the needs of our community are, determine what the needs of our police department are. Our council put a lot of time when we had to make a change in police chief, went through a lot of applications and to pick the best person they could find for the job. And the current chief, Chief Irwin, he's done an outstanding job. He works well with city administration. He works well with the council. We get together regularly. We discuss what's going on in the community. And the main thing is we've got a police department that cares about our community. They're out there. They want to do the right thing. They want to take care of everybody. So our police department knows that the city stands behind them, and our city knows that our administration stands behind them. So it's all a matter of working together. Fortunately, we're not dealing with some of the other stuff going on in the country. We have to work together.
Mr. Robertson?
I must say 2020 has been very different. And yes, we do have to look at our police department and see what's going on in the country. We are very lucky that we live here in Pell City and we haven't experienced the things that other places have. I feel like Chief Irwin has done a great job. I think our police department is out in the field. I think I see them all the time. I've been pulled over by them. They're doing what they need to be doing to keep people from speeding. But yes, I think recruitment is very important. I think growth is very important. Just as Pell City grows, our police department's going to have to grow. They are very visible. I think they do a great job.
15 seconds.
And I'm very, very pleased with the police. And like I said, I wanted to continue for them to recruit and to grow and to develop and train. A lot of training there.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. And finally, closing remarks from our mayoral candidates, beginning with our incumbent, Mr. Pruitt.
$4 million in road repaving, $3 million in substantial improvements to our sewer and water, a total remodel of our civic center and tennis complex, new beautiful welcome signs at the entrance of our communities. $18.29 million in investment in the Pell City school system. That's up over 12% from the prior 4 years. New housing construction has gone up 132%. A lot of times it's real easy to get sucked into the concept of change. A lot of people run on change. Change sounds exciting. Didn't work out for Coca-Cola back in the late 80s too well.
15 seconds.
But I'm not promising change. I'm promising more of the same. I'm promising more of what works. I'm promising more progress.
Thank you, Mayor Pruitt. Ms. Robertson.
Change might not have worked for Coca-Cola, but it did work for Popeye's Chicken and the new chicken sandwich. There have been people shot and, stabbed over the new chicken sandwich. So yes, change can be good. As your mayor, my intent is to make city government more accessible to people. I've so enjoyed being out in the communities, walking and talking with them. I've enjoyed seeing the youth ride around on their bicycles and ask me for push cards because they want me. Miss Robertson, we want you to be our next mayor. It's exciting stuff. I'm a people person, I'm a talker, and I can get out there and I can make a difference. I will be a voice for the people of Pell City, all of the people, not just certain people with last names that are
15 seconds.
Powerful, not people that have money. It will be for every single person. I will be a voice.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. And that concludes our mayoral forum with Mr. Bill Pruitt and Ms. Jonna Robertson. At this time, we're going to take a short break. Soon we will hear from the unopposed candidates who will be speaking. And then the Board of Education candidates will begin shortly thereafter. So we're going to take a short break at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank y'all so much. We're going to hope everyone had a chance to meet and talk to everyone in the audience. Hopefully everyone at home had a chance to get some popcorn and a beverage and get back to us here. So once again, if we can, let's give a round of applause for the folks that were up here before. I mean, they really did a great job. So we also want to make sure that those that also don't have opposition get an opportunity to also talk about what they feel strongly about. So for District 1, 3, and 5, those representatives are going to come out here in a moment just to say a few words. Before that, I was told that I needed to make sure that I promoted the Pell City Rotary Golf Tournament that's going to be upcoming. So I do apologize for doing this. That is one of the things about hosting this. We do get an opportunity to talk about some of the things we do in our community. So what we're going to, the 40th annual Pell City Rotary Club charity golf tournament is going to be taking place. The entries open up Friday at 10 o'clock. It's $125 per cart. Food, beverages, and a chance to win thousands of dollars in prize money are going to be available. Please contact Joe Paul Abbott at joepaulabbott@gmail.com or talk to someone in Rotary to be a part of that. All the funds that are raised at this golf tournament go back into the community to those that are most in need. And so it's always a great thing that we're able to do. So at this time, I would like y'all to please give a round of applause to District 1 Representative, Councilman Jay Jenkins.
Thank you. Hello to everyone out there and also to all those watching at home. Choosing to spend your time in this way either means that you're really bored from staying at home too much and watching too much television, or you really want to try to be a more informed voter, which I think is the case, and I thank you for it. I'm Jay Jenkins, District 1 City Councilman. I've served on the council for 2 full terms and part of another. I've worked with 3 mayors and 9 different council members. During the past 4 years working with our current mayor, our current council, and our city manager, I have had the opportunity to help many good things happen in Pell City. Many of those things you've already heard about from the other candidates. And I'm confident that there's much more to come, even with the recent setback because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation we've been in. Even with that, we're going to have great things coming. I truly appreciate the confidence the residents of District 1 have in me for allowing me to run unopposed in this election. That's never happened before, but I sure do like it. During my time on the council, I have been a strong advocate for fiscal responsibility, improvements to our school system, improvements in the quality of life for our citizens in our county, economic development, transparent government, all of this while serving as a very strong voice for the residents of my district, District 1. I promise I will continue to represent the residents, the voters in my district, but also all the citizens of Pell City to the best of my ability, always with integrity, honesty, and transparency. I truly love Pell City, its people, and I have no agenda other than helping to improve our city for all of us who call it home. Please continue to call on me at any time if you have any issues of concern. I get calls from residents all over the city. Please continue. Working together in a positive manner, I'm absolutely positive that we can continue to move this city forward. Also, please remember the vote next Tuesday, the 25th, because, you know, the vote is the strongest, absolutely the most powerful tool we have in a democratic society, and we need to make sure we use it. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Blaine Henderson. I'm a councilman for District 3. I would just like to say that it has been an honor to serve our city for the last 4 years. It's been a very eye-opening experience for me. I've learned a lot, and hopefully we'll continue to learn, and I'm looking forward to see what the future has in store for our city. Thank you.
To no one's surprise, I'm going to make this short and sweet. My name is Judd Alverson. I serve District 5, and it has truly been an honor and a privilege to serve the city, to not only serve the city, but specifically the people in District 5. I'm looking forward to serving alongside the city manager, whomever is elected, and just continuing to push this city every way possible forward that we can. Thank you.
Well, as you can tell, there's a lot of folks that just love this community, and in these days, in some areas, it seems like that's not the case. We're very fortunate in this community, in this county, that really have the folks here who care so much about everything that they do. So up next is going to be unless someone tells me otherwise, we're going to go into the Board of Education debate. I don't have to tell you that education is the cornerstone of every community. It is something that is one of the most important things. It grows the trees that become the foundation for our community. And so the election coming up for Board of Education for Pell City is very important, and I commend all the folks who are going to be up here discussing their stances. We did have one person that canceled last minute. They're going to be allowed to have a person read their statement, but the candidate that is here is going to have an opportunity to act as if they have an opponent and take all the questions that they would like. So if you see someone up here by themselves, that's what's happened. We just had a last-minute cancellation, but to make things fair, we wanted to make sure that people had an opportunity to be known by the citizens of Pell City, and so that's the slight modification. So at that point, I'm going to get, who should we start off with?
We'll begin.
James Hill, once again, who keeps me out of trouble, thankfully not just on the debate stage, but also in my business life as well.
Thank you, Don. We'll begin with our District 3 candidates. Ms. Lori Henderson, the incumbent, and Ms. Thelma Jones will be making an opening statement for Ms. Demetria Shepard. Ms. Henderson, your opening statement, please.
I'm Laurie Henderson. I'm your current school board member for District 3, as Mr. Hill said. I'm married to Blaine, who I think you just heard. I'm sure he was very long-winded. He's normally short and sweet. We have 3 children. We're both products of the Pell City school system. All 3 of our children are students in the Pell City school system. We are very much invested in the system. A little bit of my history. We graduated high school here in 1995. I went on to get bachelor degree in psychology, which turned out real good because after that I went to the University of Mississippi and got my Juris Doctorate degree in 2003. I'm a local attorney here in Pell City. Most of the work I do is in family court. So during the time that I worked for a firm before I opened my own practice in 2012, we represented the school system. I had the opportunity to sit in many a school board meeting, and then when I opened my own firm, I decided to run for school board. I was unopposed, and here I am.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Ms. Jones, on behalf of Ms. Shepard.
Thank you so much. I'm honored tonight to be able to read Demetria's opening statement. She is an essential worker, a registered nurse, and could not be here tonight, and she asked me to apologize for her. Other than that, she would have been here. She is young, energetic, and ready to go to work with your help. My name is Demetria Shepard, and I'm running for the Pell City School Board in District 3. I'm married to Caracas Shepard, and I'm running to represent District 3 because I care about all the children and families that live in District 3. I want to be a voice for everyone in this district. I want the children of District 3 to know that they are all precious in my sight, just as we are in the sight of the Lord. If you want a passionate advocate who will take your problems, listen to your comments and concern, who will make decisions with your children in mind, who will work tirelessly to improve the lives and the quality of education of all the children in Pell City, then I encourage you to vote for me, Demetria Shepard, District 3.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. On behalf of Ms. Shepard, at this time, I am going to read the question, question number 1, to the incumbent, Ms. Laurie Henderson. And this question is, why are you running for the Pell City Board of Education? What experience do you have that would make you a qualified board member?
Okay, so I've had the privilege of being on the school board since 2012. I ran my first term and then my second term in 2016 unopposed. So I've served in the Pell City School Board for 8 years now. Before that, as I stated earlier, I served as a board attorney and got to sit in on meetings for several years every month. I think that's what qualifies me. Not only have I been a member for 8 years, I have several years prior to that as experience as the attorney for the school system. Other than that, as I said, we have 3 children in this school system, and I say, you know, those 3 are ours and the other 4,000 are yours, but I love all of them, love all children the same, and my main goal is that all children have the best possible educational experiences and opportunities that they can have here in Pell City, and I feel like I'm more than qualified to continue in this position.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Your second question. The structure of the Pell City school system requires that a child attending the system for his or her entire K through 12 career attend 5 separate schools. Please state your position on this structure and what, if anything, you would do to change it.
Well, I think the structure is very chaotic, and in some ways it's a disadvantage for the students and the faculty when we get to that 7th grade level and 8th grade level, because the faculty doesn't have a lot of time to get to know the students well and have that continuity with them, but also it's not good for the students because they're having to change schools so many times. And one of the things that has affected our grade on our state report card each year is that the state has recommended that our 2 junior highs, the 7th and 8th grade, be consolidated, and I am glad to say that those plans are in the works. And we should hopefully within a couple of years have a new 7th and 8th grade facility that would cut out one of those steps along the way. So our children would have a more streamlined process in the school system, and I think that would be wonderful for them, and I can't wait to see it. I'm kind of hopeful that my now 5th grader will be the first class that gets to attend in that new school, but that's fingers crossed.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. And the audience may have recognized I've stopped interrupting at 15 seconds. We decided that was just chaotic and a little rude, so that's for the reason for the change. Our third question. School safety, especially as it regards to active shooter situations, is a prevalent topic for today's teachers, parents, and students. How do you view the district's current ability to protect its occupants?
Well, we have, I think at the time that the school shooting thing became such a big issue, I mean, it's really grown over the last 20 years, but more so over the past 10 years, especially when I've been on the board. We have more SRO officers now. We have one all the time at the high school, I believe, and then they rotate among the elementary and middle schools, but we have a presence of police enforcement at all times at our schools. If not, they're by there at some time every day. We have trained, all of our faculty have been in trainings to teach them how to deal with an active shooter situation, so that if and when, hopefully never, but if something like that were to happen in any of the schools in Pell City, our faculty, administrators, SROs, and everyone is trained on what to do and would be prepared in that event as best they could be.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Our fourth question. What is your opinion of the current property tax millage rates that help fund Pell City schools?
We need more. We are so very blessed to receive the funds that we do locally, but I don't know if people understand that the way a budget works for the school system is crazy, and I'm just sort of really now getting the real hang of it, but basically 80% of our state funds and 100% of our federal funds are earmarked for specific purposes. So really the only wiggle room we have is with those local funds. The most stable tax base is on a property tax. And I think that we have to, as a board, take some responsibility for the fact that the last millage increase vote did not pass, and I think a lot of that was lack of education. We should have got that education out to the public better to let them see what a small impact to them on an annual basis would make such a huge difference for our children. So we don't have enough millage, and we need more.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. And our final question. Alabama's roadmap to STEM success says Alabama lacks a common vision for STEM education. How do you feel Pell City schools are impacted by the state's current STEM plan? And how would you use your position to encourage student participation in these fields?
Okay, so science, technology, engineering, and math, that's STEM. We have, over the last several years, developed greatly enhanced our curriculum in the STEM area. I will say, how would I encourage the children to be involved? Well, I can speak last year for my fourth grader, who I got to spend the last 6 weeks of the school year with because of the COVID-19 pandemic at home homeschooling. I could not get her to stop doing science, and she loves that because it is hands-on. And the training that I've seen these teachers go through and the projects that they do in the classroom, it just grabs the children, the students' attention, and they love that. So I think that the STEM curriculum in and of itself kind of begs for the children's attention. It gets it and it holds it. So I think it kind of speaks for itself, and it gets that attention on its own. And I think that it has really, really helped the student enjoyment in those areas, of those academic areas.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. And finally, any closing remarks?
I'm just going to read something that I wrote, and it is that I am your current Pell City Board of Education member for District 3. I consider it my distinct honor and privilege to have served as your representative on the Pell City Board of Education for the past 8 years. Our system has seen tremendous growth in so many areas during my tenure. We are blessed with phenomenal teachers, students, administrators, and support staff and parents as well. A vote for me on August 25th will ensure continued growth and progress for our system. I'm proud of the strides that we've made, but we have more to do. I hope to be there for every bit of it. I humbly ask for your vote to keep Henderson as your board member for District 3 on August 25th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Thank you, Ms. Henderson and Ms. Jones, on behalf of Ms. Shepard. Our next slate of candidates are the District 4 candidates, Ms. Tammy Williams, Ms. Shulanda Keller, and Mr. Greg Crump. Begin our opening comments with our incumbent, Ms. Tammy Williams.
Thank you, James.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been active in Pell City school systems long before my children were in the school system and long before I was ever a school board member. Our children are Pell City graduates. They attended from kindergarten to 12th grade. I've built positive and respectful relationships with teachers, students, and the administration. My business and education background provides a framework for me to understand the need for our students to have an engaging and challenging academic foundation. But most of all, I love the students, the teachers, and the staff of the Pell City school system. But let me be clear. My job as a school board member is to provide relentless support to our school system to make it the best that it can be, whether it be providing necessary resources and support for academic success, or to having a listening ear to our students and teachers. A school board's purpose is not to create confusion or chaos, but to provide a good system for our students.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Keller.
Hello, my name is Shalonda Keller. I was born and raised here in Pell City. I am a product of the Pell City High School. I graduated class of 1993. I have an associate's degree in medical administration, a business degree, a bachelor's degree in business, and I will be graduating in December with a master's of executive leadership. I've served this community for more than 20 years, doing outreach in my church and serving as an outreach administrator for First Methodist for 5 years. And over those 5 years, I've helped more than 500 families that are a part of the Pell City school system. I've also continued to serve as a college pastor of Talladega College. I have the experience, and I've been called by God to serve. I count this as a privilege to be able to run. It is my desire to be a voice for all students, for all parents, all educators, and all stakeholders if I'm elected. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. And Mr. Crump.
Good evening. I'd like to thank Rotary for having us here tonight. It's a great organization, and I know they do the daddy-daughter dance at the beginning of the year, and that's my little girl's most exciting night of the year. So I want to thank them for having us. I'm Greg Crump. I'm a lifelong resident of Pell City and a product of the Pell City school system. I've been married to my rock, Abby Tyson Crump, for 16 years. We have 3 kids. Bailey, she's a 7th grader, cheerleader. She'll be going to Durand South. I've got Allie, my middle girl. She's 8. She's a 3rd grader going to Kennedy. And I got my little son, Ty. He's 4 years old. He's in 4K at First Baptist, but we're eagerly awaiting that waiting list for the 4K in the Pell City school system. I'm just all about children. That's what I'm at. I work at Benjamin Moore here in Pell City, for who don't know. But I volunteered for 10, 15 years coaching Little League, baseball, basketball, anything to do with my church. I love to give my time to the children of this community. That's my heart and soul. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crump. Our first question will be to Ms. Tammy Williams. What is your primary reason for seeking election to the Pell City School Board, and how will you address it during your term?
Thank you so much for that question, James. My reason for seeking election to the Pell City school system is very simple. I want this school system to be the best that it can be. Well, what does that look like? How do you do that? Well, you do that by expanding career opportunities for our students through career tech classes, our fire science program, pharmacy tech, certified nursing assistance program. You expand more career offerings and class offerings for our students so they'll have the opportunity to have more choices. It's about having choices for our students. It's by providing more resources to our teachers so they can help our kids have more academic success. Those are the reasons why I'm wanting to be your Pell City School Board member, is to continue the success of our school system and to provide those necessary resources and support that it takes to have an outstanding and premier school system.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Keller, same question.
My primary reason for seeking election is to be a voice for every student, every parent and every educator. One of the things that I've been studying over about our school system, thank God for the career tech programs that are in place, but I want to help us grow that program into where we offer culinary and cosmetology classes, and with that we can enhance those who have gifts with their hand. Everybody's not called to go to college, but we have gifted students who God has gifted with their hands, and we need to enhance that more so that we can push them directly into the workforce. I also want to be a voice for the educators. I want us to begin a better recruit so that we can recruit more amazing teachers. Our system has great teachers, but we can always recruit other teachers to come in and to help enhance the learning of our students.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Mr. Crump, same question.
I play sports here at Pell City, and I wasn't always the best athlete, but I'd work my tail off because I didn't want to be on the bench. And that's what this is all about. I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines. I want to fight for our kids. We deserve more. They deserve more. Pell City used to be the shining example in this county. We set the bar. It's not happening anymore. Other schools in our county are passing us with the same money. They're not getting more money than us. They're using it wiser. I want Pell City to be that example. We shouldn't be falling behind to Springville, to Moody. We've got the tax base here. We've got the lake. I want to make Pell City schools to be the best they can. When you pull in town and you see that gateway to Logan Martin, I also want it to say gateway to the Pell City school system, the best schools in Alabama, because our kids deserve no less.
Thank you, Mr. Crump. With our second question, we will begin with Ms. Keller. And Ms. Keller, the question is, the structure of the Pell City school system requires that a child attending the system for his or her entire K-12 career attend 5 separate schools. Please state your position on this structure and what, if anything, you would do to change it.
I feel like it is an issue, I'm sure, for parents to have children attending 5 schools throughout their career. I don't feel that it is a major deal, but I feel like if we are going to change that, I feel like that we should let our parents know. It should be a voice to the community, the plans of what is going to be done. And if I'm elected, that's the part I want to change. I want our parents to already know that we're working on merging the junior high schools together. I also want to make sure that our teachers and our educators understand the plan that is going forth so that they feel like they're in the know and that they're not being left out. I also want to make sure that in changing this, that we put a plan together to educate the students, educate the parents and the community. And I think that is what is lacking, is communication. And I want to make sure that we do better in that.
Thank you, Ms. Keller.
Thank you.
Mr. Crump, same question.
I do believe that 8 schools is way too many. We have 2 similar school systems, one towards Birmingham and one down I-20. Trussville City Schools has 4,300 students. We have 4,000 here. They have 5 schools. We have 8. Oxford City Schools, they have 4,080 students. That's maybe about 80 more than we have. They have 6 schools. We have 4,000 students. We have 8 schools. All right? Those numbers don't correlate with our teacher-to-student ratio. We're sitting at 18-1. Trussville's sitting at 17-1. Oxford's sitting at 15-1. Less schools means less principals, less assistant principals. Means we can add more teachers. That's how you get those numbers. That's how you get a better teacher-to-student ratio.
Thank you, Mr. Crump. And finally, Ms. Williams, same question.
I'm Yes, first, I guess we have to understand the history of why we have so many schools. And these schools were already in place long before any of us were vying for this position or probably even born, I think. And so originally the thought was we want to make use of all of our facilities that we have instead of having schools that are structurally sound sitting vacant. And so that's what had facilitated us to have the grades separated as they are. However, through the years and through time and through some state monitoring and some other things, we have decided that we must combine the schools, some of our schools at this point. Combining schools will allow more collaboration with our teachers. It'll be better for our students. It's less intrusive that they have to go to 5 different schools, but that is a plan that we are working on, that if I am reelected, we will be looking at combining our schools.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Our 4th question for our District 4 candidates, we will begin with Mr. Crump. And the question is this: school safety, especially as it relates to active shooter situations, is a prevalent topic for today's teachers, parents, and students. How do you view the district's current ability to protect its occupants?
I put a lot of faith in our police department. I put a lot of faith in our SRO officers. I put a lot of faith in our police chief, that he's trained them properly. I put a lot of faith in our teachers, that if they notice something out of the ordinary, that they'll let the proper people know. Our students, they have to be taught to pick things up that are odd. They know their classmates better than anybody. They have to feel comfortable going to a counselor or going to a principal and expressing any funny feelings they have about a fellow student. We can do this as a community. It's not one section. It's not the police department. It's not the principal. It's not the students. We have to do this as a community. That's the only way you're going to cure this. And by the end of the day, you can do everything you can to prevent a school shooting, and it's still going to happen. We have to mitigate it, and that is everybody working together at home.
Thank you, Mr. Crump. Same question, Ms. Williams.
Yes, with active shooter situations, those are situations that are very hard to control and very hard to stop, because at any time anyone can walk up at a school or church, Walmart, movie theater, or anywhere and begin shooting. But however, in our school system, we do have SROs designated at some of our schools. However, we do need additional SROs, so we'll have one at every school. Therefore, we need funding. So funding is somewhat of an issue for us in adding our SROs. But currently, we have in place, most of our schools have a buzz-in procedure where you cannot even open the front door of the school until you have been buzzed in and we have identified who you are. Our teachers have been trained in active shooter training. Our students are trained in lockdown. We have lockdown drills every year. It is required by the state. So I think we have done all the things we can do to have things in place to avoid that. And we also have cameras at our schools as well.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. And finally, same question, Ms. Keller.
I feel like I'm very thankful that Pell City has not had anything tragic to happen, but I feel that in every school there should be an SRO officer present for the complete for the whole day. And I feel like also that if funding is not there, then there needs to be some heads put together to figure out where can we find funding to have an SRO officer on duty all day, every day. We have to parent our homes, and our schools need to be parented also by an SRO officer to make not only the students feel safe, but also make our educators feel safe also. I also feel like that we have amazing SRO officers, and I know some of them, and they do an amazing job, but it needs to be more, and there needs to be one present in every school for the entire day.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Our final question for the District 4 candidates, and we will begin with Ms. Williams. Millions of dollars in annual district funding comes from a sales tax levied by the city of Pell City. How do you view the Pell City school system's relationship to the city as it relates to funding?
Our relationship with the city as it is to funding, we currently get a 1 cent sales tax, and in addition to that, a third of a penny sales tax. Currently, right now, amazingly, in the midst of this pandemic, sales tax revenue is good, and that can be evidenced as looking in the parking lot at Walmart and Home Depot. So our relationship with the city, with the sales tax issue, has been a good one. They have worked with us over the years, and our sales tax funding has increased, and so we hope that it will continue to increase. However, the most stable funding is property tax funding, and so we're hoping that in the future that we will be able to go back and readdress our property tax issue. But in the meantime, our sales tax, it is robust right now, and we are very thankful for that, because that is money that is not as earmarked as money is that we receive from state and federal government.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Keller.
I am very thankful for the relationship between the city and the school system. I think that we should continue to enhance that relationship with the city, but I also feel that the school system needs more money, and so that's always going to be a need. But how do we get more money if the property tax is not voted on by the citizens? We need to take a stand back, look at, are we being good stewards over every dime that the school system is awarded? Are we using those funds to the best of our ability? Also, if the time does come around again for the property tax, let's go out and educate the community on what you need, why you need it. Make sure that the people of Pell City and this county are educated on the tax, and that there's not a break or a lack in communication. And so, as always, the school system needs more, but if we make our school system great, we make our city great.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Mr. Crump?
Yes, so I'm thankful for the city. They've been over backwards for our school system, and I am so glad that they have a great working relationship right now. But we as a school board have to be a little bit better stewards of our money. They've asked us, the city has asked us to do some things. They just did we just got the extra. We got a penny, and now we got a third of a penny. But we need to look at some things that the city's asked us to do. The city's asked us to redistrict. We haven't done that. When somebody gives you something, and they ask you, hey, look into this, but we've avoided it for 8 years. We're not making the hard decisions. 55% of the kids that go to Pell City schools are not represented here tonight. They're not represented in our community because they don't have a school board member. We've got to redistrict. We have to give every kid in our school system a voice, give their parents a voice.
That is time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crump. Finally, Ms. Keller. Alabama's roadmap to STEM success says Alabama lacks a common vision for STEM education. How do you feel Pell City schools are impacted by the state's current STEM plan, and how would you use your position to encourage student participation in these fields?
I think STEM success is very viable to our children's education. My children have had the opportunity to be a part of a STEM program, and I'm very thankful for it. I feel like we could be better in that area because we can go after more science teachers and math teachers, which there are a shortage. But I believe if we began to recruit those who could come in and help us make our program better, then that would help. I also feel like we need to attack the gap that is in our reading program so that every child can have the opportunity to enjoy and understand the STEM program, because if there is a lack of reading, they're not going to get the rest of their subjects. So I do believe, and as a school board member, I would want to look at the scores and attack that gap in reading in order to help when they get to the 4th grade to make the STEM program successful.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Mr. Crump, same question.
Yes, we need to get together and get a game plan. If it is we need to hire science teachers like we hire football coaches or baseball coaches. We need to go get the best. We need to get them here. We need them working with our students. The science part of it is a great idea. We have a great community here for outdoor learning. I would love to see us take our classrooms outside. That's the great way to learn. That was my favorite way to learn. We need to look at our ACT scores, see where our kids are lacking. We got to attack it if we're lacking in math. We have to attack if we're lacking in science. We as a school board need to put our kids in the best position to succeed. And as we look at the STEM education, and we have to look at it with a whole plan together, and that'll be best for us.
Thank you, Mr. Crump. And Ms. Williams.
Thank you. STEM careers, STEM, that's right up my alley. My degree is in electrical engineering, so I'm a product of a STEM career. So I know how important it is for children to be exposed to STEM. Pretty much every job or career is touched in some way by a STEM field. We currently have STEM programs in our school system. We have robotics, we have intro to engineering, we have advanced science classes, we have forensics classes. The disconnect is getting the students interested in taking those classes and helping them realize that yes, they can do this. So I think one of the things we need to work a little harder on is introducing those careers and those thoughts about STEM much earlier in the process. Started in maybe elementary school, 5th grade, 6th grade, so by the time they get to high school, they're well aware of the STEM careers and the courses that are available to them.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. And now for our closing remarks from each candidate, beginning with our incumbent, Ms. Tammy Williams.
Thank you. Progress is defined as to move forward to an advanced state. Pell City is in a season of progress, progression, addition. Let's build on what we've accomplished and progress forward. Let's continue to add more class offerings and workforce opportunities for our students. Let's progress and move forward and create that premier pre-K system right here in Pell City. This system is not just my school system. It is not just your school system. It is ours. So let's work together and move this system forward. We all have a voice and a seat at the table through our board representation. But will we always agree on everything? Probably not. But we will work hard toward the common goal of providing the best education experience for our students. I am informed, capable, and passionate about education. I am prepared day one to serve our school system. I ask for your support and your vote on August 25th. I do believe the best is yet to come. God bless and go Panthers.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Ms. Shalonda Keller.
It is my desire to do as I've always been, and that is to be a change agent. I feel like God has placed me here to serve, and I want to serve all of our community. I want to make Pell City the most amazing place ever. I want to help bring our schools up to par with any other school in the area because we have amazing students here. I want to make it so, this school system so wonderful that children and parents will begin to move here just for our school systems, not just the lake. I also want you to know that I am qualified, I am capable, and those of you who think I may not be qualified, God does not call the qualified, He qualifies the call. So I feel like that I am capable of being your voice, not just one voice, not just two voices, but the voice of all. And what I will do is I will be transparent, I will show integrity and character in all that I do. Thank you for your vote. Make Keller your choice on August 25th.
Thank Thank you, Ms. Keller.
Thank you.
And finally, Mr. Greg Crump.
I'm a leader that wants to confront our tough decisions head on. I want to quit ignoring the elephant in the room, and let's face the tough decisions. I truly believe that successful children become successful adults. Whether it's in a debate, at a cheerleading competition, the theater, the classroom, performing in the band, or on an athletic field, I want to give our students the absolute best chance to be successful. We can compete against anyone. Anyone. There's no reason that we have students, faculty, that should ever doubt that Pell City can't be the best that this state has to offer. I've enjoyed getting to know my constituents. If I haven't seen you, you will see me in the next few days. Please vote for me on August 25th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crump, and thank you to all of our District 4 candidates at this time. And our last candidates of the evening are our Board of Education District 5 candidates, Mr. Eldon Hall, the incumbent, and Mr. Norman Wilder, his challenger. And we'll begin with opening comments, first by Mr. Eldon Hall.
As you see, I'm not a politician. I didn't get the memo about wearing a jacket. The hardest part of being a politician, this is the first time I've ever run for public office, is this part, standing before you and trying to sell myself as the best candidate. But I'll do my best. After college, I began as a lowly clerk, as a receiving clerk, and through hard work, I rose to become director of manufacturing with 5 manufacturing plants reporting to me. Along the way, I rose through the ranks. I served as a production scheduler, quality control supervisor, human resource manager, customer service manager, materials control manager, and plant manager. I applied the same 3 principles to all these positions. Number 1, attention to detail. Number 2, integrity. Number 3, sound financial management.
That is time, Mr. Hall. Thank you. Mr. Norman Wilder.
Good evening. I'm Norman Wilder, and I'm your candidate for the District 5 Board of Education for the Pell City School System. I'm the proud father of 4. All 4 attend or attended the Pell City School System. I, too, am a graduate of Pell City High School. I have many memories of this school system. I was molded here by teachers such as Miss Scott, Miss Henderson, Miss Vicki Smith, all English teachers. But yet there were the coaches, Coach Rich, Coach Harris, Coach Ellison, Coach Ellard, Coach Porter, and Coach Hazelwood, all in the classroom and in their sports. I then attended the University of Alabama, where I received a degree in business and marketing. I returned home to operate a local agency for 23 years. I have 12 years of experience on the Pell City Board of Education. I love this city, and I love this school system, and I ask for your vote on August 25th.
Thank you, Mr. Wilder. Our first question for the District 5 candidates will go to our incumbent, Mr. Eldon Hall. Why are you running for the Pell City Board of Education? What experience do you have that would make you a qualified board member?
I think because of my management skills, my integrity, my financial skills that I've applied throughout my life. I have a heart for education. My wife is a retired school teacher. Our oldest son, Stephen, is a high school principal. Our second son, David Hall, is an attorney. And without an education, none of us would have been successful. It's with good education that we can touch the future of Pell City, the state of Alabama, and the nation. I believe that education is one of the strongest aspects of any of our growth and our maturity as an individual. I believe that as a board member, I have the responsibility of making sure that we have the best asset here in order to make that happen. And the most valuable asset we have for this school system is our teachers and our staff. And I believe that me being on that board, I can assure you that that's going to remain and improve.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Mr. Norman Wilder.
I'm running because I care. I care for this community. I care for the children. I care because the future leaders of this city are out there in those halls and those classrooms. The future leaders, such as the Brittany Gillisons, the Jason Goodgames, the Jason Duras, the Wendell Youngs, the Meg Clements, the Cecil Fombys, the Erskine Funderburgs, the Dr. Rock Helms, the Dr. Barry Collins, the Deborah Stevens, the Lyle Harmons, the Stephanie Baines, the David Sawyers, the Kelly Fergusons, the John Rays, the Corey Funderburgs. What do they all have in common? They graduated from Pell City High School. The second thing, they all returned home to make a difference in their community. That's what I did also. I want to make a difference in this city, in this school system.
Thank you, Mr. Wilder. Our second question, we will begin with Mr. Wilder. And that question, we've read that one. Let's do another one. Yes, Mr. Wilder, aside from the coronavirus pandemic, what is the biggest challenge facing the Pell City school system, and how will you address it?
The biggest challenge facing is the unknown factors, just like the pandemic. We don't know what else is coming. Financial situations that might come up. We have great teachers here. Believe me, I know. I served 12 years. I have children in the system. We have parents that have to make that decision whether or not to send their children. We don't know for a fact what will happen. But all I know is I'm going to send my children because I'm not qualified to teach my upper level math, the upper level sciences. You mentioned the STEM earlier to some of the other candidates. But we have teachers here that are. And my children need that. They need the social aspect of that. That's what faces our children, and we have the people here to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Wilder. Mr. Hall, same question.
Well, obviously none of us know what the next big challenge will be, but there are some challenges before us. There are things that need to be done as far as some consolidating of the schools. It's very evident that the two junior high schools need to be combined, and there is a plan to start, hopefully after the first of the year, the groundbreaking for our new junior high school. The challenge that's going to follow that is Durand South. Durand South has a unique history. There's an alumni from that school that is probably the closest and dedicated that I've ever witnessed. And that school needs to keep that integrity and that heritage. That school can be used for a variety of things as far as the STEM program, for the education program of our small children, and other aspects that we as a board have discussed. So the next challenge, just to continue to improve and build on what we've already started.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. And our third question will be to you, Mr. Hall. Pell City schools reported a chronic absenteeism rate of 20% in 2019. Earlier this year, some residents voiced disapproval of an amended school policy targeted at reducing student absences. What are your thoughts on this policy and its impact on residents?
I don't believe it was actually a new policy. I believe it was just the enforcing of the policy had not been enforced. If you read the student's handbook, you'll find that there is an attendance policy there. You may or may not know it, but attendance in the school impacts dramatically the funding from the state of Alabama for our students, for our schools. So it is absolutely essential that we emphasize the importance of a child being in school. And we did find that once the policy was enforced as it was written, attendance came up. A child cannot learn if not they're in school. Sometimes it becomes very easy for a child to say, I'm not going to school. We need the parent support. We know it creates sometimes difficulty. We understand that. I'm a parent. I went through that. But you cannot educate a child if the child is not in school. But there is an attendance policy that's spelled out in the student's handbook.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Mr. Wilder, same question.
Well, the attendance policy is vital to our school system. Also, the funding is vital. But however, the children need to the faculty and staff need to make sure that it's an inviting environment for the children. Inviting and a point that they're willing to learn. You know, my children, you know, I want them to know, hey, this is an inviting community, an inviting school. Mine, I say, hey, listen, if school starts at 7:50, you need to be there at 20 to 8. That's a way you make it encourage your children to be at school. Don't dwell on, oh my goodness, we've got to go to school today. Hey, make it a happening place. Make it where, hey, they want to go to school. As a faculty here, I think they do that. Make it encouraging for them. That's how we get children in school.
Thank you, Mr. Wilder. Our fourth question, we will begin with you. Is this school safety, especially as it relates to active shooter situations, is a prevalent topic for today's teachers, parents, and students? How do you view the district's current ability to protect its occupants?
Well, this plan has been in place, and I know it's been corrected some and improved on since I was on the board previously. The faculty and staff has been trained. The SRO officers have done an excellent job here. The improvement comes from funding. We do need SRO officers in every school. When I was on the board previously, we added cameras, locking of doors, buzzing in from front door access. That's the important. We have to make sure that people do not have just open access to your children at your schools. It is vital that they have access through the front doors only so that we know who are in the schools. And with that, we can control that. But the SRO officers, funding for them is the most important way. And that could come from the city's help, which would be important.
Thank you, Mr. Wilder. Mr. Hall, same question.
Everything basically boils down to money, and we can say we'd like to have more resource officers in every school, but again, as it's been stated, it takes funds. We're thankful for what the city does. The city actually contributes to the school system about 27% of our budget. But the problem is, it's enough to operate the schools efficiently, but if you want to go beyond that, you have to have additional funding. The schools, as been stated, have knock locks, and you have to have permission to enter. You have to go by the office and identify yourself once you've entered. But the way to control students who may have a sense of violence or shooting or whatever, that's very difficult to control. The idea is that if we could continue to encourage the students to watch one another, to be mindful of what others are doing, and make sure they report any incident that may create a situation that would be unsafe for the students.
That is time. Thank you, sir. Our fifth and final question for our District 5 candidates is this. Beginning with Mr. Hall, What is your opinion of the current property tax millage rates that help fund the Pell City schools?
Nobody likes taxes, especially me, but they're an essential part of our life. We would not have a fire department, police department, we would not have a school system without a tax. It's unfortunate that the last millage that was placed before the people of Pell City was not advertised properly, was not presented properly. I think that it could be done again. I think if it were presented properly, that the people of Pell City would see how minor it was when you consider that you could probably go to Bojangles once a week and get a hamburger at what the tax would have cost you. I'm not opposed to real estate tax. I think it's the most stable form of taxes, and I think that it is what has, that along with other funding, has what's kept the school system going.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. And Mr. Wilder, same question.
Property tax, you can say it any way you want to, is the only way that we can compete with the schools our size that we want to compete with. We can sugarcoat it all we want to, but you can compare the millages to the schools that we want to compete with. They receive more money than we do from the people that live in their area. We have people moving in here from other areas, and they expect to pay more for their tax rate. I had a family move in several years ago when I had an insurance office, and he told me, he said, man, this is a diamond in the rough, but I expected to pay more in property tax. And so that's where we need to raise the taxes. And it's not going to hurt you. I mean, it's $100, $150 a year at best.
That is time. Thank you. Our last time will be our closing remarks from our two candidates. Our closing remarks first, beginning with our incumbent, Mr. Eldon Hall.
As I said earlier, I have employed three things in all of my career: attention to detail, integrity, and sound management decisions. I've carried these lessons throughout my personal life, my work experience. The application of these allowed me to move up in manufacturing management. Even though I am retired, I still know the importance of these three things. I apply them as I serve on various committees, fulfill teaching responsibility at my local church. Now, why do I do it? Because I believe God wants me to serve regardless if it is on a manufacturing floor, a corporate office, or my church. That's why I want to remain a member of the Pell City Board of Education, is to be able to serve the stakeholders, the students, administrators, faculty, parents, taxpayers with the same integrity, hard work, and thriftiness that have been a successful pattern in my life, and I desire your vote on August 25.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. And finally, Mr. Norman Wilder with your closing remarks.
In closing, I would like to start in mentioning the building we're in tonight. This building was built when I was on the school board previously. It was 24 hours from not being built. 24 hours. We sat in a meeting and we came up with the funds to do this. Where would we be without it? It's amazing what this building, how many thousands of people have come to. So I would just like to ask you for your vote. I care for this school system. I have a passion for this city. I have 12 years of experience. I will give you 110% effort, I promise you. I love this place. Please vote Norman Wilder, August 25th, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilder. And that concludes our forum with regard to our District 5 candidates for the Board of Education. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. That also concludes our forum for the evening. And before we sign off, I do want to again thank the Pell City Rotary Club for sponsoring this event and ensuring its success. I'd like to thank Jeff Thompson and the folks with the SEPA Center. It's a beautiful facility, and we very much appreciate them opening it up to us. I'd like to thank our district attorney, Lyle Harmon, for handling the timekeeping responsibilities. And I thank all of you for tuning in tonight or being with us here in public. And I'd like to thank all of our candidates. Our candidates did an outstanding job expressing their positions, displaying their passion, and I feel certain that the time spent tonight was time spent valuably. So thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your evening.